The last glacial maximum was 20,000 years ago. Glaciers stretched across much of North America. Even so, this is around the time when we find the first sign of human footprints in the Americas. Tracks left behind indicate they were pulling something like a travois, a primitive sled. This would have been a revolutionary invention, enabling people to drag a lot more weight than they could carry on their backs. Aboriginal people have been in Australia for over 60,000 years. Even early on, they invented a technique called fire stick farming. Carefully controlled fires burned to clear paths and clear brush to prevent risk of more devastating fires. The earth was warming. Glaciers were melting. Sea levels rising. As the earth warmed, more food was available, including wild grasses like barley or einkorn. In the Middle East, the Natufian culture built round houses and had tools like sickles for harvesting wild grains and mortars and pestles for processing them. The Qadan culture around the Nile in Africa had similar homes and tools, indicating a sedentary lifestyle. However, those melting glaciers brought fresh water to the ocean that slowed currents, and the earth suddenly plunged into cold temperatures again. Perhaps this meant there was less grain to go around, inspiring humans to turn bows and spears on each other, as seen in Jebel Sahaba. Middle Easterners weren't the only ones settling in houses in one place. In East Asia, along the Yellow River, people gathered millet. Instead of mortars and pestles, they had grinding stones. They also had pottery, some used for cooking and others for storage. Bones found in the area indicated they were hunting birds, deer, and the ancestors of pigs. Jericho has been a thriving settlement from ancient times. Though surrounded by desert, a spring of water lets people grow wheat, barley, lentils, flax, and figs. They domesticated goats and sheep. With so much food, their population grew. Wanting to protect their prosperity from thieves, they built a wall and watchtower around their homes and granary. Humans had been living a hunter-gatherer lifestyle in Europe for tens of thousands of years, but the technique of agriculture was spreading out from the Middle East, through Anatolia, and into the Balkans in Europe. The native hunters and gatherers were displaced as the farmers moved in, reshaping the European landscape one generation at a time. Agriculture independently developed in other parts of the world. China grew soybeans, millet in the north and rice in the south, and they had domestic pigs and chickens. In Papua New Guinea, they grew taro, bananas, sugarcane, and yams. Mesoamerica grew maize, beans, and squash. In the Andes, they grew potatoes and raised llamas and alpacas. While others turned to a settled agricultural life, in northern Africa, tribes of nomadic cattle herders roamed across the vast, lush grasslands of the Green Sahara. But as the Sahara dried up and the desert expanded, these groups retreated to the last river oases, the lands around the Nile in the northeast and the Niger to the west. Welcome to Uruk, the greatest city in the world. Canals help us grow barley enough to feed 50,000 people. See our thriving marketplace. The potter, the weaver, the brewer. In the center of our great city is the ziggurat, a temple for the goddess Inanna, a man-made mountain that reaches toward the sky.